So he's unable to be present to give his talk on AI. But I found a very good AI expert, Yves Peitzner, who's here, and we thought we would just kind of improvise the format, given that AI is very high on people's thoughts and where the jewelry industry is going. So maybe it's a little bit of an improvised format, but I'm going to ask Yves some questions. And if you have any questions about AI in the jewelry space or otherwise, Yves is a lecturer also here in Munich at the university on AI and works with students on these things. So he has a lot of good overview knowledge on AI. So maybe, do you want to share a few introductory words on how you see where AI is at right now?
I guess it's a matter of perspective, from which perspective you look at it. Most of the industries are, being afraid, rightly so, in many respects. In the jewelry industry, I'm not sure whether to worry too much yet. But we just do this special installation at the atelier at the end of the hall, where we just had this discussion. That's why I'm just coming up with this, where we created these AI-generated films depicting how craftsmanship, how filigree is being made or how micro-mosaics are being made. And if I would have hired an animation studio to do these films, I probably would have spent hundreds of thousands of euros or dollars, and this I could basically do myself, which is really bad for an animation studio, because this is something which will possibly, not go away, because quality, super high quality, will always stay there, and I think it's great for craftsmanship, because we also ask the questions there, because robots make these different techniques like micro-mosaic, but that's, there's 3 people in the world, I learned, who can still do micro-mosaic techniques like in the old days, and that's amazing, and no machine can do that. I mean, machines could perhaps do that, but a handmade is still very valuable, and I think it's going to become much more valuable in the future, so humans will become much more important, in my eyes.
But maybe we can have, because I see Felicitas is up there, and you had some great statistics yesterday in your talk about what humans look for in luxury products. Maybe we can have a little poll. Who would be willing to buy a piece of jewelry that no human has touched, that has been from A to Z, been fully made by machines or AI? So I think we're still in quite a traditional industry. Who here uses AI in their design process? Not in ChatGPT for your Instagram captions, but really for the design process. Is there anybody who's using it? A little bit? Would you care to share how you're using it, or what your experience with this? I'll give you a microphone.
In general, I'm working classical, but I start to have an overview or to show what's possible with bildgebender KI. Ich habe früher sehr viel mit CAD gemacht und habe das im Schmuck komplett zurückgefahren, weil wir da schlechte Ergebnisse damit hatten, beziehungsweise das CAD oft schöner aussah als der Schmuck. Dann habe ich wieder in Pappe und Gold und Silber gearbeitet, aber an AI komme ich, glaube ich, nicht vorbei, oder sie an mir nicht. May you translate it?
Yes. So he's saying he was using CAD and 3D before and now working again with materials, but AI is just so interesting for generating images. Are you presenting these images to your clients, or is it just part of your design process and iterating to getting to the final design? Yeah.
In this design process, I will do it classical, but it will be an extra part. There's one more thing, though. I will show where it can be or where it will be.
Thank you. Yves, do you maybe want to share how this is happening in other sectors, or how is design and AI, how are they interacting today?
I think you cannot ignore it. I mean, people who will ignore it will be the big losers, I think. You need to, it's a technology like the internet, just more important. And anybody who ignored the internet at times, without the internet today, nothing will be working anymore. Nothing, literally nothing. And with AI, it's going to be the same. So it's impossible to ignore. And I think especially in the design process, it's super interesting to iterate or to get ideas, to get inspiration. I think it's super interesting, but the human touch still, in my eyes, is super important because that makes it a proper design. Because I'm sure everybody's seen so many AI-generated images. They all feel very generic because they are. There's very few people who are extremely creative with creating AI films or images, or there's a few artists who are very, very good at it, and they spend a hell of a lot of time in trying out things because it's quite uncontrollable still. So a design process. We were just talking about these AI animated films. It took me forever to get it right. And if you get somebody, a 3D artist, you just tell him, okay, I want this, and then there's a full control behind it. So. Having said that, it's so fast, so it's crazy. I mean, and if you find it out the right way, how to prompt stuff and so on, then you can achieve extraordinary results. However, I don't know. For me, anybody can do everything now, so that doesn't make it any good. So I think mediocrity is really becoming a big thing. So if you look at it, if you look at whatever in Instagram or something, any advertising, so much advertising is now generated with AI because ad agencies say, okay, we don't spend money anymore. Why the hell should we have humans doing acting and camera crews and stuff like that? But the result of it is it's so generic, and I mean nobody wants to see advertising anyways, so it doesn't really matter. But it's mediocrity, and I think that's a big danger, and also at the same time a big chance for humans to excel, because I think also mediocrity in humans will also be at a big risk, because a mediocre graphic designer probably will have not a space anymore. Only exceptionally good people, and I think exceptional talent will be rewarded and probably very much punished by AI, which is on a mediocrity level. Having said that, that's sort of my opinion. It's I do teach this AI at Hochschule München, which is the University of Applied Sciences. But is this all a big experimentation field? I also work with Fraunhofer Institute, with IKS, and we're all just playing around with it. I mean, there's big companies, OpenAI and stuff like that. They develop this stuff, but it's a big black box in the end. So.
Yeah,
it's
any
exciting.
Insights?
Hi there. Well, I was just thinking, my background is much more antique jewelry. And when you look at some of the Victorian, Edwardian, Art Deco pieces, they are astounding quality. And you think no machine was involved in that except somebody who'd made that machine. Now, when you see a lot of the jewelry in these halls today, as spectacular they are, they're generic, they're boring, there's nothing interesting. It's like, it's another boring diamond, another dreary chain. Then you go to see the antique jewelry and go, oh my God, this is sensational. Now, this is the problem I have with AI, because it's just so, you spot it a mile off and it becomes completely dead and lifeless. It's like when you see a pair of earrings made by Sterling in the 50s, they have to be exact, yet they're different. When you have a modern pair of earrings, they just flip it around. Dead boring, dead boring. And you after that, then becomes lifeless. And I think this is why craftsmanship is becoming more interesting, because when you see something that's handmade, even if you don't like it, it's handmade, you can spot that, and it makes it interesting. Whereas some of the big brands have gone down the boring route. It's like airport jewelry, it's so dull. And I think this is when it's filling a market, but it's creating, as you say, a mediocre market, nothing of any interest. I'm sorry if that's anything controversial, but it's just...
I couldn't agree more. I mean, this is literally what our exhibition is all about, featuring exceptionally extraordinary craftsmanship pieces where, the handmade and the human is so important. And I couldn't agree more. I think this is... But this is actually the big chance, I guess, because you got all the big brands and, all this generic stuff, which you can really exchange and nobody, I mean, it's all a personal taste as well, but, and the antique works, it's nice that you can still see that somebody actually had his fingers on there, and you see the carvings, and you see still that tool it's been made with, in the carvings. For example, It's like with a painter, you know, when you have a painting and you still want to see the paint strokes, you know, and the actual physical paint, and you can see that somebody was actually doing it with their hands. And I think that is, hopefully this will be something which will be much more valued in times of AI.
Do you think that's going to be drowned out by the marketing? Do you think that, though, is going to be drowned out by the marketing because that's where all the money is, and they're not interested in craftsmen, they're just in the product and what they can sell?
Yeah, but the thing is, will they sell? If everything looks generic, nobody wants it anymore, right? I mean, especially in the jewelry, I think it's so individual. I mean, everybody wants to be different and stand out. And I've just recently been to Japan, and the style of the people there, everybody's so individual there. It's amazing, you know, and it's beautiful to see. And you know, and in comparison to Munich, when I go to some bars or something like this, you know, everybody looks the same. They have like their beanie on and the t-shirt and that, you know, it's like, oh, come on, you know, it's like, and I think that's generic, you know, it's cool, but, you know, how boring in a way. So again, I couldn't agree more with you, Ben.
Speaking of AI, it is something that's very much in progress. So is this, these generic results created by AI, are they something we can expect to last in the future, or is that something that's going to change? So AI becomes more of a danger to handcrafted jewelry?
It will change because it gets trained on basically everything it can find. So, you know, they always say that maybe it will all become totally obsolete when AI trains itself on itself, you know, and then it becomes gaga at one point or destroys itself. So maybe we'll see that, probably not. But at the moment, I mean, it's all about the training data, you know, in the end, you know, and I think there's a huge problem at the moment because generating images, for example, you know, there's the most giant copyright violation in the world because all these companies just take everything. No artist is asked or photographer is asked, oh, can I take a picture? I mean, there are some companies who try to do this with their models, but reality is they just scrape the internet and train their models with everything. And as we all know, there's a question back there. As we all know, you know, the internet is full of BS. And this is what AI is trained on. So I would be very careful in, you know, believing all the stuff it says because it's trained on a lot of not correct stuff. You know, if you would train an AI with, I don't know, all the libraries in the world or, I don't know, all the books of the V&A Museum or something like that, you know, and have a specific AI model for exactly that, then we're talking about something really valuable. But, you know, that's why the genericity comes because it's trained on everything and just mashes up stuff, basically.
So you think this aspect of AI is not going to change?
It's just a wild guess. It's probably going to get worse, I think, because we get more data and, you know, we get more flooded with stuff because AI can generate so much faster as we humans can. And that's why I think we're going to get flooded with a lot more stuff. So it's like a feedback system, you know.
Thank you. I'm also a university professor, and I think you said something very interesting when it came to the mediocrity of craft. We also see that in students, right? That AI makes it very easy to fake competence. So do you think that people who come from outside the industry, who never learned goldsmith, who never learned jewelry design, just because maybe they're an Instagram self-made star, can become a jewelry designer just with AI?
Interesting question. I guess why not? I mean, but they need to learn the craft though. I mean, you can design amazing designs perhaps with, I don't know, Midjourney, whatnot, to become an Instagram superstar, but never actually produce anything. So, but you know, at one point, if you do want to sell or, you know, make jewelry, I guess you need to learn, or at least get somebody else to do it. I mean, that's how I would probably do it. If I have no idea how to, you know, whatever. But the processes. But I think you would have to learn this. I mean, maybe I just created these AI films for, you know, craftsmanship about micromosaic. How is that made, you know? And I literally watched YouTube videos and from the V&A Museum, because they have a fantastic library on old jewelry making techniques, and really looked at it. So, okay, because I don't want an AI just to do some BS, but just to really depict it in a correct way, and that took forever. I mean, for me to learn. And this is, if I would want to make micro mosaic now, I would at least know how to do it, but I've never actually touched anything. So I think maybe my hands I would be way too shaky to do something like this. In the first place, I would probably never be able to do it. Yeah, I think it's possible, but in the end, you will have to learn the craft. It's like graphic design. You can make a cool logo with AI for sure, but if you don't know, graphic design and where to place things and so on, you will just take it at a wild guess and you never know what you're doing. So I think, yeah, if that answered your question.
Thank you.
And by the way, I'm not a university professor. I just teach there as a freelance lecturer. So, just saying.
I just had two thoughts. One thing that you said about the generic thing, I think that existed before AI. If you came to the show 10 years ago, there was a lot of that. There's also bad craftsmanship. I think we have to be honest about that. And the other thing is, we had a really good talk from Shaylee Harrison the other day. She's a designer who works with AI and tech, and she's not looking to work with mediocre AI, but she's trying to do things with AI and tech that we just simply can't do with our hands or with our minds. And so it's really pushing the frontier of that. But that's a niche market, and that's also interesting. So I think it really comes back to what you said about most of AI just being mediocre, but there's certainly opportunities in AI as well. It's not all bad.
No, it's not.
And not all craftsmanship is great.
No, absolutely, and and some of it is absolutely exceptional, and the possibilities you can get, and what Shiley does, she's a digital first, so the designs happen in the digital world first, and then become reality, which is exactly the other way around. So super interesting approach, and I think it's really cool to explore. I think that's the best thing everybody can do, just to really dive into it, try it out, and play around with it. And I think really extraordinary results can come out of it, and maybe even great craftsmanship. Maybe there's an idea, I don't know, AI comes up with some really crazy designs, like, wow, how can I possibly make this? Maybe this is impossible to make, but maybe it is, and then I think you can challenge yourself with it a little bit.
Hi. I just want to draw a parallel with a different industry and AI, and that is Coca-Cola's last Christmas ad. Normally people, and for me, this is putting the person, the human, at the heart of who is buying your product, be it an engagement ring or a can of Coke. They completely created their Christmas ad using AI and got massive consumer kickback from it. Rejection, like, are you in a race to the bottom type of feedback. And then secondly, I look to my 12-year-old who is glued to YouTube, particularly Barcelona FC. And he adores the soccer, the tricks, and he's learning, he's teaching himself this way, but he can spot a fake a mile off. So I think he's watching it for a human skill, and rejecting anything that is fake. So at the end of the day, I think it is that humans buy from humans. They buy human creativity, human intuition, human mind and intellect and design. And craftsmanship, of course, is part of that. But there's so much mediocrity out there, and you're absolutely right. And there has been for a long time. Like we were just commenting on, wow, that is an incredibly set ring, all the rest of it. But I could just buy the same off eBay for a $5. So like it's that human differentiation that comes in design, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more again. Also, Coca-Cola, they advertise for everyone. So they can just say, okay, fuck it, let's do, let's generate an AI film because we just marketed everyone. It's not it's a mass thing, right? And that's why they got so rejected as well, because they did that and they have a huge reach, and it feels fake because it's not it's not real. And I'm glad that your child can spot it, because I think it becomes extremely difficult to tell the difference, what's real and what's not anymore. And I think that's a real danger. That's what I'm a little bit worried about, because it gets better and better by the day. And one day you can probably just prompt something and it just looks, there's just a new model came out because I just tried it out for the installation back there. It's called C-Dance, and it's insane. You just prompt something, it still feels generic, but 3 weeks ago it felt worse, and now it's even better, so that's something really to worry in my eyes. I just tell my parents, for example, because it's like, oh yeah, I saw it on Facebook. It's like, don't believe anything anymore, especially not on social media, unless it's from a viable source. I would not believe, or I tell people just, try not to believe it unless you really know that it's from somebody of your friend, or I don't know what, then or from a credible source, because I think that's one of the biggest dangers for now. The misinformation, which is already happening like crazy. Just see the current events in America and so on, or everywhere in the world at the moment, and it's getting worse. And I think this is something to worry out a little bit, but also at the same time, good that especially kids of today are not receptive for this too much, because they're too clever for this, which is good. Yeah.
Ich bin noch an 2 Gedanken hängen geblieben. Ich muss die erstmal in Deutsch sagen, vielleicht können Sie es gleich nochmal, sonst kann ich sie nicht rüberbringen. Das eine ist, dass Sie gesagt haben, die AI lernt ja aus dem Internet und da ist auch eine Menge BS drin. Das verstehe ich. Ich war neulich auf so einer Fortbildung, ich habe 2 kleine Töchter, wie man die an das Internet gewöhnt und ob man das überhaupt machen sollte. Ich denke, die Antwort ist genauso wie bei AI. Wir möchten dass das Internet genutzt wird, bei Kindern und auch bei AI. Aber vielleicht müsste auch die AI so eine Art Medienkompetenz beigebracht bekommen, damit sie selbstständig irgendwas bewerten kann. Ich weiß nicht, ob das möglich ist. Wahrscheinlich muss man Regeln dafür aufstellen, aber das wäre ja eine tolle Sache, dass man nicht nur Qualitätsmedien in sie füttert, sondern dass man ihr die Chance gibt, es in irgendeiner Form zu bewerten. Im Schlechten gibt es das ja, ne? Also, dass sie Dinge verbreitet oder weitergibt, die nicht ganz der Wahrheit entsprechen. Also das war der erste Gedanke, vielleicht erstmal das.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand your question. So you said to give the AI a chance to learn something valuable by giving it the right data. Is that correct? Yeah, I also agree. I think that's the way it should be. The problem is that AI is not intelligent. Okay, it's an algorithm which guesses what's happening next. An LLM is just that, and it has no reasoning. It's a machine. It has no feelings, and many people, which is normal. Many people, talk to ChatGPT as if it's the personal, therapist or something like that, which is totally cool because it always tells you what you want to hear. But certainly, maybe it's not really trained. Surely it has a lot of data, and maybe tells you something good, say, as an example, as a therapy, but perhaps it should be trained by all the therapy books there is, and only by that, and not, by the rest of the internet as well, and the Reddit comments from random people about psychology or something, because that's what it essentially does. So, yes, and I think it's really important to give it rules and regulations, and I think at the moment that's not really happening, and I think that's something really important in the future. I think the EU is already doing quite a lot in trying to regulate it. I think it's important, but I don't know how well that works. But I think it's to give it an AI the rules and regulations it needs is very valuable, and then it can be something really good for. If you look at the health sector, for example, how good could AI be if in Germany we will not be so anal about our Datenschutz and stuff like this, but imagine if we had the data, the real patient data of everyone in Germany, for example, or everyone in the world. How fast could we solve sicknesses? Maybe we'd have a solution for cancer already, because an AI is extremely good at working on data and sorting out data and making sense of all that and huge data, big data sets. So there could be a real advantage also, because you could train an AI on all the medical data of the real medical data of patients, which at the moment has legal problems or boundaries, but it could be something amazing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Hi. As I think most people, as cross people, I include myself, I'm quite anti-tech. I like a hammer, and I'm not so much a computer. But you say that that AI is going to be here. So how should I embrace it? Like, where do I start? I have no idea. Like, I have an Instagram thing, and I can upload pictures, but like, my patience is so small. So like, where would you recommend? Where do I start? Like, I know what ChatGPT is. I've heard that, but
well, maybe start there. I mean, GPT, you can use it for free and online. So I suppose you have a computer and
no. Do you need one?
But you have a smartphone.
I have a phone, yeah.
So it works also. I have GPT on my
broken.
smartphone too. I actually put some moderator notes for another talk I'm doing, but I'm not even sure if I'm going to use it. But yeah, I think it's trying where you find interest in. I think that's maybe more exciting. If you say, okay, I really like to generate images, or I don't know, like to see movies, or I love mathematics and I want to explore something in this route or something. I think it's to go something which interests you, and then try and find maybe how to use an AI model for whatever that is, say for mathematical solutions or something like that. Or if you want to learn how to program, I don't know. Say.
No.
Or you want to have more information how to use a hammer, and stuff like that.
I got that down.
But okay. you never know. Maybe it knows something which you haven't known before, and it surprises you. And I think that's something nice to be surprised by what it can do, or what it cannot do, or how stupid it is sometimes. And but I think it would start with something which interests you and where you have fun doing it, because otherwise, if you have an anti-tech feeling, which I can totally understand, by the way, then yeah, your patient will be very short. But if there's something which may be some of your interest or so, then I think then it may even be fun.
Okay, we'll see. Okay, thanks. Thanks.
Thank you. So I know that we now talk lots about, like, I would say the problematic sides of AI, about craftsmanship, that it makes things unoriginal, or in ads that it can make pictures or videos also mediocre. But what are the lucrative opportunities? And I would like to know, are there any trends? Where will jewelry businesses use AI the most in? Is it really just craftsmanship and ads, or is it maybe in sales? Is it maybe in customer relationship management? Is there anything you can tell us about that? Like, what are the trends? And also maybe a bit focusing on the newer generations, like Generation Y and Z, and also upcoming Alpha?
Yeah, I think especially in the jewelry sector, perhaps, I mean, in the retail, for example, since you just said that, I think there's huge opportunities for retail, because, I mean, you can have intelligent systems sell you something, maybe not so good for sales staff, but, in the end, if you go to a jewelry store, in many cases, you ask, especially also the young generation, they do want to know where it's from, which mine is it from, is it been ethically mined, for example. And most of them cannot answer this question. So, say with AI or blockchain probably is even better, you can at least certify where the stuff is coming from, for example, and you could use AI systems to really support all that, You could have I'm just thinking on top of my head. I don't know. You could have that ring talking to you, you know, and say, okay, you could ask the ring in a store. I mean, this would just be a marketing effect, but still, you know, could be quite cool. So you have all the information about that ring you want to buy, what the stone is from, where the gold is from, and so on and so on. And, you know, that is then can be certified, you know, that I think could be a very good solution. And surely anything to do with big data, analyzing big data is really, really good for AI. So you could have, I think it's really good for market research. For that, I think I see really big positive outlook, so to speak, and it's lucrative. So I think if you use it the right way for you specifically, it's like the same as you'd say, okay, what can I use it for? If you find a way which is you know, for you personally or for your business, and a little bit of creativity perhaps, then I think it's really interesting. And there's many good ways how to use AI, I think also. All right, thank you very much.